So, guten Tag. Hello, bonjour. So I have the honor to welcome you to the webinar, to the ECA event around digital service and new business models for Europe's smart industry. My name is Ingo Franz. I'm head of the focus group Smart Industry of the European Champions Alliance. And I'm as well managing partner of Vector Pilot, a venture partner to tech companies and funds. Before I come to our today's topic, let me very briefly introduce ECA. ECA is the European Champions Alliance, is a non-for-profit initiative initiated by a group of entrepreneurs and business development experts. We stand for European tech and values, and our goal is to bring together your European ecosystem of SMEs, startups, corporates, and entrepreneurs, and to actually activate synergies between our key stakeholders and to leverage this very fast-growing network to strategic and as well operational support to what we call European scale-ups. So companies which are already active and successful in their country to scale to Europe to become European champions. So that's our goal. We have today an event where we have the honor to have very interesting speakers. We have invited actually three what we call tech champions from Germany and France. And we have on the other side invited three gentlemen which are representing corporates which are transforming to digital and which all think about how to implement digital services and business models. So, but I think we have as well as a intro speaker, a very interesting person, Wolfgang Ulager from INSEAD. And he will open the debate and open the presentations for us and probably answer a little bit if it's a missing or a winning element of Europe smart industry to go into digital services and business models. So I wish all the audience a nice and interesting webinar. We will take about an hour, and I will be also the timekeeper. So I'm trying to give all these speakers a pitch, really, so they can actually put forward their thinking, but in a very short time. And then we will come at the end to about 30 minutes discussion where the entire audience is obviously invited to participate. Please use the chat to put your questions, and we'll try to answer and throw into debate as many of them. So, Wolfgang Ulager, thank you for joining, and this channel is yours. Thank you for introducing.
Thank you very much, Ingo. Very nice introduction. Appreciate it. It's my pleasure to be with you. As a German living in France, I came to France 30 years ago for one semester of studies, and then I stayed 30 years. You imagine the reason. My wife is French. So sometimes there's a strategic plan, and then the plan changes. But I'm very happy to be with you for this session today. Let me first go into this sharing mode to check if this is working nicely. Share a window. Yeah, we go into this, and I'm sharing my screen. And I'm turning to Ingo just to check if you can all see my slide here.
Perfect.
Good. Okay, wonderful. So my name is Wolfgang Ulaga, professor of marketing at INSEAD, and indeed I do work a lot these days in digital business models, as you imagine, and a business school here. Now, Ingo has asked me to set the stage, and I think we all agree data has been described as the new oil. Interesting metaphor, right? It's something I have to search for, I have to dig for it, I have to unearth it, I have to refine it and improve it, but then I can hopefully make money with it. And when you think about it, I like to remind us of this sentence. You know, this is from a workshop on the right-hand side. I had a roundtable a little bit of time back, and one of my panelists in the workshop said, "Look, in our company, we want to turn data into money, but frankly, right now we are still in the stage of turning money into data." So this whole issue about, how does data can really drive the top line and the bottom line of what we do, not only of the internal perspective, how to make us better, efficient, and effective inside the company, better supply chain and better operations, but also how can we actually turn dollars into data and not just turn data into dollars. I think that's the common theme of our discussion in the webinar today. And to kick this off, I would just like to remind you of a little example to get us going for this conversation today. If you take this company, Caterpillar, a very famous worldwide player, of course, we all know, just one figure I would like to share with you. This company has about 850,000 machines today connected. And if you take this figure here for a second, just to get a thinking for today's presentations, right? Let's just do a quick and dirty calculation. If you make a quick calculation, 850,000 machines that Caterpillar has connected today. And if I'm doing a very, let's say, conservative figure here about the installed base. If you imagine we only think about 50% of the installed base that we take and start thinking about, for example, generating recurring revenue with a subscription around those machines. Think of predictive analytics. So this would immediately give us 420K machines times. Now, typically we have what? Today, we have $20 per month. It's a very conservative figure. Now, if you make the math, 425,000 machines times $20 a month times 12 months, actually we get to 102 million top line revenue. Interesting, isn't it? 100 million top line revenue. Just a quick reminder, if you take the big champions today, the fancy names we hear of the Slacks of the world, the Shopifys, and so on. These companies, how much time do they actually take to even get to 100 million of recurring revenue? Well, some of them take 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years to actually get to 100 million of recurring revenue with digital opportunities. And I think that's kind of the theme I would like us to think about today in our webinar is think of a Caterpillar with such an installed base. If you set this up right, you can start to play in the league of some people call it the 100 million annual recurring revenue club. So a Caterpillar with an installed base, a global installed base, with very conservative figures, can today be actually the size of one of these 100 million recurring revenue digital companies. So that's kind of the theme, the topic I would like us to invite to think about, how can we actually turn digital opportunities into top line revenues and bottom line profitability. And how can we as industrial companies and startups actually come together in this space and make the most out of these opportunities? I think that especially when we look at this combination here of digital players or digital natives and well-installed base experts in industrial markets, I think it's a fascinating opportunity to build and grow digital business models that bring revenue and profits. So
Well,
keep in mind our session.
thank you very, very much, Wolfgang. I think I really like that you open with a business opportunity, and not, as we hear very often, with the technicalities of new tech and new things, but you open this stage by saying, wow, there's a big opportunity. And there's a win. There's not, it's not, let's say, a technical problem. It's a revenue opportunity. And I think that's a great opener. Thank you very much. We hope to have you later in the discussion. So actually, I would like to have Jérôme Rampon, a serial entrepreneur from southern France. He has built a couple companies, sold them to US companies. He has been building really all around semiconductor and software, a lot of great stuff. He's inventor, he's manager, he's founder. So I think, Jérôme, you can actually answer some of the questions. Why is it easy and maybe difficult at the same time to actually go to these models? Please, go ahead.
Okay. Everybody see my screen? Is it fine?
We don't see it yet, Jérôme.
Okay, just a moment. Okay, here. It's fine.
All good. You just would need to go on presentation mode in the PowerPoint.
Okay, it's fine.
Works.
So hi everyone. Thank you first to ECA for inviting us and to all of you to attend. I'm Jérôme Rampon. I'm a president and co-founder of Algodon, a French startup based in Montpellier, with currently 9 persons, and providing a turnkey platform to secure connected objects and permit their monetization with new business model. I'm going to talk to you today about the as-a-service experience globally, and I will consider its potential on IoT, Internet of Things, highlighting the need to design connected objects with secured activation, metering, and monitoring features. I will focus at the end on a smart industry use case deployed in the cloud to illustrate it. So first, a few generalities on as-a-service that most of you probably know. As-a-service principles are now well installed in our economies with software as a service. So first, platform, infrastructure, database, and so on, up to new bike experiences. In the last 2 decades, we have seen the emergence of this new business model driven by the cloud, the smartphone ecosystem, and the web economy. There is few doubts that our century will continue to see as-a-service expansion above $100 billion revenue. Of course, no industry is spared, as Wolfgang mentioned, and the potential of revenue growth through as-a-service is high. It increases the recurrent revenue, it reduces significantly the entry barriers, and it improves the long-term relationship with your customers. Most famous players are well-known. The pioneers were Google, Facebook, and others with the web industry. And a new gap has been reached with the new disruptors in many traditional industrial domains, Uber, Airbnb, Netflix, Spotify, just to name a few. And those new players reconsidered more traditional industries, offering new types of customer experiences. And their offering may be consumption-based, so you pay only for what you use. They can propose continuous improvements and evolutions through upgrade and new features activation. All this for a strong personalization. It also include access and improvement anywhere, anytime. Here we come to connected objects. We all know IoTs are everywhere. Security and safety are the highest challenges, in particular for professional complex IoT. But another challenge is the opportunity to diffuse new as-a-service business model in those markets. And let me try to pinpoint how security and those new monetization schemes are strictly combined. To be able to activate on demand, to monitor and to meter deployed IoTs, to adopt as a service, you need to design connected objects with a highly secure management system. Otherwise, any potential unauthorized use could be responsible of revenue leaks. In practice, it requires to design your IoT before manufacturing to include security features that will permit in the field to set up your system to activate, deactivate some features, to meter usage of IoT, and finally to make a secure link between usage and billing.
Jerome, just a little interruption. Your slides are not moving, so I don't know. Did you? You're still on the first slide of the presentation.
Oh, what's going on? I'm sharing normally.
Yes, you're sharing.
I'm here normally.
Yes, now the slide on the IoT ecosystem. Thank you.
Is it fine?
It's fine.
And if I move, do you see the move?
Yes. Okay, please go on.
Sorry. So those security and management systems are based on the root of trust on each IoT, similar to your unique identifier. Is it okay? Switch?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. To reach a good level of security, hardware implementation is the best. To go further, software security solutions. Complex connected objects may be used in hostile environments where the objects can be accessed and in an open environment, or they can be physically attacked. And the software security solutions are not enough. Any attack on such connected objects may potentially lead to critical issues where consequences of any corruption may be dramatic. So to illustrate a smart industry use case in the cloud, please let me use a deployed example driven by Xilinx, a US leader provider of field programmable gate array. FPGA is a type of semiconductor chip that can be programmed with whatever functionality you want inside. And Xilinx innovated with a cloud service provider as Amazon Web Services, AWS, Microsoft Azure, Alibaba Cloud, to distribute their chips in the cloud. Those chips are used to accelerate some algorithms compared to an equivalent run on a PC or a server. And the speed up factor may be in the range of 1000x. On my scheme, consider on the right Netflix, YouTube, or any video on demand applications. They are high volume consumers of video encoding for streaming. And to permit their cloud market to grow up, Xilinx launched in 2020 a full ecosystem of independent service vendors, ISV, in my example, NG Codec, a video encoder specialist, and they permit to sell app services on as a service experience in the cloud.
1 minute left.
Right, thank you. So a marketplace of app services has been launched, driven by Actualize Company, a French startup, with whom we have a strong partnership. And the app services on this marketplace integrate our hardware security system to manage the rights of use on any FPGA instance in the cloud anonymously. So through it, they also collect back the explicit use of the final customer for the final pay-per-use billing. And all this hardware secured system prevent any unauthorized use and revenue leaks. So thanks again for your attention. I hope this final example will have shown you a new type of market around IoT with some original monetization in smart industry, and the absolute need for high security inside to make as a service fully viable. Thank you.
Well, thank you,
I'm sorry
Jérôme.
for the
The technicalities sometimes don't work out perfect. So,
yeah.
but we got your speech. That was
Good.
excellent. I think it's definitely something that well is far ahead. I think we will ask you later on why actually not many more companies are actually using your type of technology to meter and to actually recognize revenue with this flexible licensing approach you are offering.
Yeah.
So I think so. Actually, to make connected objects actually able to go in the direction of services, that's one thing. On the other thing aside, I think there we have invited somebody who can tell us a little bit more about the B2B markets, which are more, let's say, equipment and plant running, which is, although in Germany in particular, a very, very important business. I mean, it's an industry. So Peter Lukas will tell us a little bit more how he actually enables large companies, large OEMs actually to provide digital services. And he has prominent customers as Daimler and so on. So he has something to say. Thank you, Peter, for giving your speech.
So I'm trying to share my screen at the moment, but I think the application is me at the moment. I'll give it a try. Can you already see my screen?
Nope.
Give it another try. Can you see it now?
Nope.
Works flawless.
Well, I think Peter, maybe we can do is, why don't you start already to explain a little bit?
Thank you.
And I think a good speech, a free speech, is also a very good speech.
Of course. Thank you, Mr. Franz. I wanted to tell you something about our environment, about operators and vendors and how they work together and how you could enable services for both sides. The operators of plants and facilities, on the other side, the vendors. And but I might just wrap up the topic where Professor Ulaga left before. The example of Caterpillar, for example. If you want to collect data on a manufacturing platform in a industry environment, the first thing you have to take care about is you have to have running systems. If you ever had a look at your, might be Windows PC, it isn't just running by setting it up and starting it. You have to care about it. It isn't running for 2 weeks or 2 months without any interaction. You have to install updates, you have to make backups, you have to install updates of new software, on the other hand, of the operating system. And that's a lot of different tasks for the systems to keep them running. In the past, no one really liked to take care about this task because they just want to have availability. They just did something if they had to, if something didn't work anymore. But at the moment, things are changing, and for example, governments are forcing companies to, I think now it works.
Oh, I'm now sharing your presentation, Peter. You can just tell me
Perfect.
next slide. Yes.
So you have a lot of computers in the shop floor, IoT devices, but basic computer devices like Windows PCs, and you have to have a lot of updates installed. You have very old systems like Windows XP up to Windows 10 systems now at the moment, and they don't run without caring about them. One of our customers said, at the moment, the company stands still, it doesn't work anymore, license cost is just background noise. so you don't have to care about this. But at the moment, it's a fight between the operators and the vendors. Who cares about those systems? The vendor says, at the moment I have it in the plant, it's a problem, I don't care about them, and they don't take the chance to offer services for those components. If you would please go to the next slide. Yeah, that's what I just said. You have a lot of difficult problems, you know, from the office environment. Next slide, please. And yeah, the authorities, governments are more and more forcing both sides with IT security and creepies and other standards to implement security in the production environment. And as I said before, the vendor said, next slide please, I don't care about the systems at the moment. They're on the operator side, and the operator said, I bought a machine with a service, I want it running, I don't care about how many PCs are in the system, which software is in the system. But as with the example of Caterpillar before, they could not only just sell new machines and new products with those new machines when they come to the plant, they could also, for the brownfield, sell services. Why not upgrade an old system with a new HMI if, for example, a bottle filling company that we have, a bottle filling manufacturer that we have here in Regensburg, an OEM, they are installing in their facility already the software, creating a lifetime recording everything they change on the system, and they know which systems they have at which operator later. And when they know which system is at which operator, which systems are at Coca-Cola, which systems are at Pepsi, for example, they can offer new services. On the one hand, they can say, don't care about the machine and security issues. We will install security patches for you once a month, every 3 months, half a year. You don't have to care about it. We will take care of compliance and that everything will work. They could offer upgrades for HMI software. They have a new HMI, have new features, like Professor Ulager said before, $20 a month isn't a big problem in the office environment. If you buy an Office 365, for example, you pay about this amount, but you have to offer continuous new features. And you can also do this in production environment, not only offer new features, might be better workflows for the machines, might be better parameters for some machines, that they work more reliable. But at the moment, the OEMs or the vendors don't have any systems or any ideas how to bring their software updates out in the environment, how to get the information back, what the operators need, what they have installed at the moment, what they are doing with the machines. And yeah, you can not only make a lot of profit with greenfield, selling new machines, but also with the brownfield, knowing what you have out
So
there.
Peter, looking at time, I probably need to interrupt you with a question. So what you're saying is actually that you can offer actually to the OEMs or to the operators a way to provide services, additional services to clients which might be far away. So yes.
Yes, and it's not only remote service, you don't have to travel, especially in these times at the moment, you can't travel to any plant. Why not use the features we have, cloud features, software as a service features, to interconnect operators and vendors to deploy, for example, a software update automatically without a maintainer having to travel to the other side of the world.
So you will need to answer in the discussion later how many of Germany's, let's say, equipment manufacturers actually use this kind of services. Thank you, Peter. So sorry that the sharing didn't work as planned, but I hope we have taken away that well, there are out the tools actually to provide the and to enable actually all these equipment manufacturers. And it will be an interesting discussion, as I said, maybe with Thierry Vallot, for example, from Fives. He's actually also selling equipment and so on. So might be interesting discussion later on. We have heard one enabler on the software side. We have actually one enabler for the equipment side, and now I would like to introduce actually Jacques Bonifay. Welcome. He's another kind of tech enabler because he's coming from an MVNO business, and he's providing also the connectivity of IoT and 5G, I would say, and would be interested in the next 7 minutes to get a quick pitch where you actually see, let's say, the missing and winning elements of digital services, and maybe what your advice is and the experience.
Good.
Please go ahead,
try
Jack.
I will see if I'm more.
You need to unmute. Actually, I will try.
Unmute.
Okay, it's unmuted. All right, I did it for you.
Okay, so I just need now to. Okay, so maybe I do tac, partager. Okay, so can you see the screen?
Not yet, but here it is. Perfect.
Yeah, can you see it? Hello?
We can see it. Now it's in full screen mode.
Can you?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, Transatell in one sentence. So we are a global cellular connectivity solution provider, meaning that we are an enabler for two markets, the MVNO market and the IoT market. And we are now part of the Entity Group. Entity basically bought the company 2 years ago. I think everybody knows what is an MVNO. An MVNO is a mobile operators who don't have a network and who buy capacity from mobile operators. So historically, we started as a classical MVNO enabler in Western Europe. That's basically the cash cow business now. And for the last 6 years, we have developed and deployed a worldwide data MVNO to target the IoT business. And as you can see on the bottom of the slides, we have a few references already. The coverage is worldwide. And one key point which makes the difference from the mobile operators is that we do have local point of presence in US, Europe, and Asia, which allow us to provide better bandwidth in those countries, especially the remote areas, and a better latency. We address 3 market segments. So first one, connected and industry services. So basically any smart industry who requires cellular connectivity for their IoT project. And I'm going to spend a few minutes on the Airbus case just after. We have a second marketplace, which is connected device and workplace. So connected device, mostly laptop, tablets, but also smartphone. And the workplace is basically everything which deals with people working from home, from when traveling, or from the office. We bring solutions about connectivity for the workers. And then it's connected vehicles, which is actually our biggest business, surprisingly, since we've been selected by Jaguar Land Rover to provide connectivity in all their cars in Europe. We have also been selected by FCA, Fiat Chrysler Automotive, which is now part of Stellantis, to provide cellular connectivity for their automobiles, so the Jeep, the Fiat, the Alfa Romeo, the Maserati. We also work with Scania and DAF. Of course, we are part of the ecosystem. So, for example, recently, we signed an agreement with VMware to provide cellular connectivity on SD-WAN routers as a backup and also as a way to manage remotely SD-WAN routers independently from the core connectivity. Let me focus on one case, which is the Airbus case. So basically, Airbus has developed Skyward, which is a service of predictive maintenance for the airline. So it is a service that they are selling to the airline. And basically, with such a service, an airlines in normal time, I'm not talking about the COVID time, but before COVID, the computations that they could save lots of money per day, about basically anticipating any problems you can have on the planes. Often you have been in a plane which has been stuck for 2 hours at the airport because there was a technical problems and they needed to change things. Now, using Palantir for artificial intelligence, using Amazon Web Service for cloud computing, and Transatel for cellular connectivity, now they are capable to anticipate most of the problems which will occur of the planes and do the maintenance operations which is necessary so that there is never any stop in the operation. We won in competition against Vodafone at the last round. Although we were 20% more expensive than Vodafone at the time of the decisions, Airbus wanted to select us. First, because our solution was truly worldwide, and we had a commitment to install point of presence anywhere in the world when they had sufficient traffic. So today we have 3 points of presence, US, Europe, and Singapore, Asia, because the business did not develop as much as we were expecting because of COVID. But we do have a commitment to deploy Pay Gateway anywhere in the world so that we can always benefit from the lowest latency and the highest bandwidth whenever necessary, because the planes are landing and taking off anywhere in the world. We also bringing a technical solution which was in line with the Airbus requirements when Vodafone had a tendency to propose the Vodafone solutions. So we demonstrate that we were more agile. And also one important thing is that we provide full independence from the mobile operators, meaning that so in France, we have connectivity agreement with Orange, SFR, and Free, but we can select whether the plan is on Orange or SFR or on Free or all together. And also we provide the opportunity for Airbus if they want to make they buy airtime from us, but if they want to negotiate directly with SFR, with Orange, we can do it. We can also negotiate directly with Deutsche Telekom for Germany or with NTT Docomo in Japan. They have this capacity. So, and since 80% of the value is in the airtime, they do have a capacity to negotiate directly with the mobile operators if they have sufficient volumes, or to switch mobile operators when they need it, because of quality of service, because of the quality of the coverage. And also they have a capacity to use private network, private LTE network, and soon a 5G network, because this is a plan that airport have to deploy private LTE network in the airport. So that's one example. I'm going to go very quickly on the automotive, and I'm not going to present what we are doing in the automotive, but more to give you some ideas of how the automotive market is going to change, going into the IoT directions. This is example of services you have on a car. Actually, I'm talking about services, but I could speak about app. And when I'm talking about app, you think about your iPad or your smartphone. So there are app or services dealing with a car manufacturer for telematic services. You have things which are related to end user, whether the end user is the driver or passengers.
1 minute left, please.
Is the autonomous driving, and you have third-party services such as insurance. Of course, new players are coming, and one of the issues with car manufacturer is that they have a risk to be squeezed between the GAFA and the mobile operators, where all of them want to take value, because more and more value will be in the service that you provide on the car and not only on the hardware. So cellular connectivity is key because it allows you to control part of all those services. And our vision is that we think that car manufacturers should become MVNO because they need to control the connectivity, the economic models which goes around the connectivity, as well as the security. Not going to spend too much time, but as an MVNO, we do bring competitive advantage against the mobile network operators. This is our contribution to the IoT development. I tried to do 7 minutes.
Thank you very much, Jacques. It was very interesting, and it actually leads also a little bit to the question. I mean, we see the markets which are closer to the consumer being quicker. For example, in connectivity, but also then in the competitive forces. So I think it's a good time to ask. I mean, do the, let's say, industrial players, I mean, the B2B industrial players, for example, do they feel the same squeeze? Where on the one side, it's actually the GAFA companies being very active or starting to be active in their market, and on the other side, the consumer really requesting functionalities. And so that's an interesting question, I think. And I think we have one group which is actually probably already facing these market developments, which is Hager, because Hager is well, it's a big company. It's a 2 billion euro company, and you're supplying electrical infrastructures, which actually are bringing connectivity to homes, to industry, and so on. So we are very happy to have Hager today in the discussion, and also to get a view from Antoine Frank and Martin Kaiser on their view, what industry actually needs in terms of digital business models. So very happy to listen in to your presentation. I understand, Martin and Antoine, that you share both your team teach the presentation. So off you go. Thank you. You're probably on mute. Let me just. Well, unfortunately, I have to say we lost probably the two due to technical problems. No, they're there. Martin, can you?
Yes, I hear you, but I don't hear Antoine Frank. He's the one presenting. Huh?
Okay.
I can take over, but I think he's projecting the slide, no? Or is it you?
Well, I think that you might, or Antoine might try to reconnect, and we would, if you agree, we would change maybe the order and
yes, change the order, yes, and
let Thierry Vallot maybe present.
Do you hear me? Hello?
Okay, he's back. Okay.
He's back. Okay. So Antoine, will you try again to provide your slides?
Do you hear me?
We can hear you. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So sorry for technicalities. I was hearing you well. Apparently, you don't. It's okay?
Well, go ahead. I mean, we will cut you a little bit short in the time because we want to have a good discussion later, but
yeah.
so go on.
Yeah.
Cloud in Hager Group. So Hager Group is a French and German company who has been created just after the Second World War,
and based in the two countries, France and Germany. We are a manufacturer. We are producing devices for home, residential home, and commercial buildings. So you have on the slide some key facts of our company and some of the products we are building. Our core business is the circuit breaker and all the electrical infrastructure of the for the residential home and building. We are distributing our products with different brands you have on the slides. What we can face today is the fact that the future will be for sure to the I would say energy transition and the smart car and the electric car. The frontier become now blurred around the home, around the smart home, the smart car and the smart green, all together being connected more and more, and the part of the service who can be built on that is increasing a lot. So we are facing in the future and going from, I would say, a model today where as a manufacturer to become more and more into a service model operator, thanks to IoT, thanks to smart and connected solutions on 3 fields, so with e-mobility, building automation, smart home, and energy efficiency. If we just step back a bit, we are facing actually a big transformation thanks to IoT, going from what we used to build and we are still building today, some hardware products to electronic and mechanical products, going from more electronics and then embedded software and including connectivity, and then become. This allows to make a shift of the value going with, and then the classical business model to make margin, going to more and more
business and the value on the software part, and then moving to shift. You can see on the slide, I will not detail it all, but in short, moving more and more from manufacturer with different manufacturing operating model to a customer-centric manufacturer operating model. And more the shift is doing more the space of making digitization of service coming from is possible. Step of the shift, so things into product, adding productivity, and after making a system of connect to interconnected of us potential, I would say, part of making value and monetization of. Different steps of the company, some reorganization and some different shift and reorganization on digital and IoT. We are now, I would say, paving the way of this transformation. And of them is the creation of into the company about a specific entity with digital information all together.
Unfortunately, we have continued technical problems. Maybe Martin, could you take over, because we can only hear on Antoine very bad.
Okay, so as Antoine Frack explained, we moved from a more startup approach where these models were quite isolated, more and more into an integrated model, ending now in 2019 by this organization you see on this slide. It's the digital and IT organization.
And digital transformation PC.
And so today we are no longer using these concepts and technologies, let's say, on very peripheral products, but it's completely integrated into our core business. And the challenge is to use the enablers such as connectivity or IoT platforms, of which Antoine is responsible, to use them on the entire value chain of Hager Group and on all of our product categories. And so this is the job of Antoine, who of course has to also build bridges with the more traditional engineering and IT functions that you see on this slide. Maybe as an explanation of what we call value chain is our manufacturing and supply chain arm, and the IoT platform, which handles all the data from our products, has to be interfaced with all these functions. If it's manufacturing or if it's engineering, otherwise the value proposition we want to build cannot work. And last but least, everything that is customer facing also needs this information, so that our customer relationship management team and our salespeople can also use this information. So it's a very challenging job, I think, for Antoine, and a very complex issue of interfacing this IoT enabler with all the business functions, manufacturing functions of our company. It's at the end, it should be easy and intuitive for our customers and our salespeople, but it needs a lot of investment on our side. Antoine, do you want to finish? Do you hear us? We don't hear you.
Do you still don't hear me?
Yeah, we have found you back. Yes, so maybe you can try for take back. Yeah.
Okay. So you see the slides too?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So today is to automation of this IoT asset, so our product, and then the purpose is really to the full of the value of this data, explained well by Wolfgang at the early beginning of the
different part. And the first one is to make monetization of service, as we said.
So to provide to the user, our customer, additional services based on the value taking from the data we can provide to him. Customer experience through our CRM, so putting all the data we get product to the service of the user experience for customer services. Also,
product marketing
to be able to allow them to
roadmap of the
product itself and to understand better the usage of the product or use. And so to point 4, the insight from technical and products with the purpose to improve manufacturing engineering process of our product. So today, Hager is managing then 2 business models.
Left,
so
product-based model, where we're making
margin on the top
volume of
product we are selling, classical one. A new subscriber.
Other guys,
if you can put on mute, it will be so. And on the right, business model is and then making monetization of software, digital assets. This business model to subscription-based model and usage-based model. And there is a different advantage thing customer and as a manufacturer to shift to this subscription.
To be more stick with our subscriber,
our customer, as a manufacturer, we are not used to speak directly to the end building products wholesale. And then for the first time, thanks to IoT, we can stickiness with our end customer.
Okay.
To predict more the cash flow, it's a
Antoine, I think we still have at least from these to hear you.
Okay.
I think we should keep, because this is maybe a good time actually to take this topic to the later discussion, because this is exactly the question. I mean, where already established companies stand and what are the challenges, and so I would suggest, Antoine, that we maybe discuss this, because it seems to be not enough to see at the same time the presentation and to hear your voice. And I would say that we go directly to these questions in the discussion we have together in after the presentation has ended. I hope you agree, and I'm very sorry to have these continuous technical problems. At least some people, I think, in France can't hear you actually at the moment. So you might try to dial in again and maybe have a bit better connection. Martin, do you want to say anything at the end of the Hager Group, and maybe to end this end the presentation from Hager? Or you want to join in at the discussion later?
Yeah, rather at the discussion. We're already late, I think, in our timing.
All right. Good. Well, let's do a quick pitch, a last pitch, and I hope it's working this time all right, from our second company. which is FIV. I hope I pronounce it right because I pronounce it the French way. And Thierry Vallot is Director of Innovation. It's actually a company which is really big, and some people who are not in the details what they do might not know them, because they actually provide the machines, the equipment for large manufacturing sites. But Thierry will explain you and maybe share his experience when he has to drive his group into the, let's say, new business model and digital service world.
Thank you very much, Ingo. So my name is Thierry Vallot. I work for FIV Group. FIV is a provider of industrial equipment. The group was established in France 200 years ago to manufacture sugar beet equipment on heavy industrial goods. Today we have three main branches. The first one is high precision machines. We are a machine tool specialist. We offer machining, grinding, composite processing, and 3D metallic printing machines. The second division is called Smart Automation Systems, where we provide sorting, handling, and automation solutions for the automotive industry, the e-commerce, the logistic companies. It's an activity with a two-digit growth, despite the current crisis. I don't dare to say thanks to the current crisis, but as a matter of fact, we've seen that it has boosted the e-commerce activity. And the last division is called Process Industries, where we provide turnkey solutions for the aluminium, the cement, steel, glass, and energy industries. And if I can share my screen, maybe I can show you one picture. I have only one slide, if you can see it.
We can see it.
Okay, so it's typically an example of what we are providing to our customers. This is an example of a steel processing line. So you have a steel strip entering the line on the left, and then we are heating, cooling, coating this steel strip to provide at the end a finished product which is used by the car industry. Typically, we design, manufacture, and commission all the equipment in this line, which is something like a 300 meters long equipment, as well as all the control system based on physical models and artificial intelligence to control and optimize the running of this equipment. You can also see on the right, in fact, it's a fully virtual mode of the line, which is used to train the operators to operate and to maintain the line. But typically, we provide this complete digital twin of the line to our customers. So the question here for us is, how can we develop our digital services around this kind of equipment that we provide to our customers? And I see four main topics. The first one, when we want to provide this kind of solution to our customers, is to focus on what kind of value creation do we bring to the customer. Very often we see people start recording a lot of unstructured data and using new technology without any clear idea of what can be done with it. And what we do at FIV is that we start by raising the question, what can I do better? To what extent can I improve our existing offer for our customers? And among all the nice things that we can do, what is really important for him? Because of course we can always do a lot of things for our customers, but what is the most important thing we can do for him that he's ready to pay for? Typically, in this kind of smart line, what we can do is to reduce the energy consumption, to reduce the zinc consumption, also to improve the raw material flexibility, which means that he can have various products at the input of the line, and he will still produce good steel at the end. And we can also help him train his operators. So the customer focus for me is the key of the approach, of the digital approach. The second one is to ask ourselves about our legitimacy to propose these digital services. Typically, our history is about providing hardware, not software. And why should the customer have confidence in what I am proposing to him. If I am SAP, I have no problem of legitimacy to propose an important software for my customer. But if I am FIV and I have an image of an equipment manufacturer, would the customer purchase a solution which is critical for his production without any past experience with me? So, and this is very important. If we don't want just to propose nice to have things, or if we want to go beyond the proof of concept phase, we need to bring confidence to our customers that he can rely on us to purchase something which is crucial for the performance of his plant. The third important point, and I think it has been very well illustrated by the previous presentations, is to work with partners, because going fast is the main success criteria. Typically for us, cybersecurity is one of the key enablers for the smart industry, and it's not something that we can master efficiently by ourselves. So typically, this is one of the reasons why we have partnered with a French tech firm called Walix, to provide our customers with secured and updated cybersecurity solutions. But we could have worked also with Algodon or Ondezo for this kind of additional services. And the last point is to ask ourselves, how can I help my customer to take the value creation that I am proposing to him into account in his own decisions? Because what we see very often is that smart industry investments are not budgeted for. Our customers, they provide a budget to purchase the hardware, the critical software, but not for the smart industry part of their investments. And this is why very often we never go beyond the proof of concept phase. And then we have a double entry barrier to software adoption, our own difficulty as a provider to develop a new business line, and the inability of our customers to integrate these new aspects in their own budgetary process and investment decisions. And this is one of the reasons why it takes time and why digital services come along bundled with other technical or consulting services. For example, we can provide software for predictive maintenance, but who has the benefit of a predictive maintenance algorithm? Is it the end customer, or is it the company who is actually making the maintenance? Typically at FIV, when we provide predictive maintenance to our customer, the predictive maintenance software is useful for us to be more efficient in the way we serve our customer, but it's very difficult for us to sell it directly to the end customer. And this is where, to me, we can talk about new business models, because smart industry business very often open your business model. You cannot continue to work with the same actors. You have to open your business model to new third companies, which can be in your group, but you have to work with other companies who have who will complement your own offer and approach.
Thank you very much. That was very very interesting, Thierry. I think, seeing the time, it would be now very good to kind of wrap up a little bit and go into a discussion, because for me, I mean, I've seen, I mean, we have orchestrated a little bit to say we have enablers. There are enablers which actually which drive software as one key area of the future. I mean, we're not any more hardware centric. It's software who will actually drive these new models. You will have the connectivity, which is very important, and you are on the other side. The corporates are already struggling with the customer side that actually ask for this kind of solutions, but sometimes they're not willing to pay. So this is a little bit challenge. So for me, it's a good question. I mean, where do we stand? I mean, maybe Thierry, you can continue on the question. Where do you stand? I mean, are you able to push, let's say, these kind of new service models already to a point where you can generate revenue, where you actually build a new kind of business for your company? Or is it still, let's say, a nice to have, a selling argument, but at the end not revenue generating?
Well, thank you thank you, Ingo. This is really the key question for us, is how we can convince the customers to pay for it. And we see that where we can generate revenues is where we bring key expertise, where we bring expertise through the software that the customer doesn't have. So the customer is not bringing the software itself, he's bringing the expertise and the relationship and the close relation like we can bring to him thanks to these new tools. But it is not the tool that he's purchasing by itself. It's the relation. It's the access to our own engineers and technicians.
All right. So maybe to start with the corporates. I mean, Martin, we have heard that you're already deriving about 20% of revenues from this, let's say, smarter and digital models. Why does it take, I mean, so long to make a transition in the industry? Because you're working already a couple of years on. Is it the market? Is it the technical problems, or what is really the key to not move, let's say, quicker in that direction?
Yes, I think today it takes many talents that are not necessarily all easily available for industrial companies today. It's a whole new technical approach. And Antoine explained this. It's a whole new financial approach also. It is very disruptive compared to our existing financial models that are product-based. So switching from one model to another subscription-based model is a very complicated task on these behalves. And it is also a change of mentality for a big company of 12,500 people who have been in a product-centric mode to switch into a more customer-centric mode where you are more concerned about customer bases and subscription rates and churn rates, etc. It's a big switch for a company, and I think maybe a couple of years ago it was often a lack of technical solutions. Today I would say it's more a lack of commercial and mentality know-how in the company. At least at the group, that's the experience we make.
I think Jérôme told me in the meeting before this session the same thing, that actually the speed to implement these technical solutions which are there are often more the people, and let's say also the infrastructure, the customer facing IT. So all these things which are new and which are not hardware related. Would you agree, Jérôme? And maybe with one question, a quick answer. I mean, how can actually, let's say, startup like yours maybe speed up this process?
So we are there to bring.
I will unmute you. Okay, please go.
It's fine.
Yes, it's fine.
You hear me? Okay. So we are there as a startup to bring some competence and some knowledge in our case in cybersecurity. But moving to as a service in a big company is a real challenge. It's not only a technical challenge. So we focused on simplifying the integration and be careful that this first integration layer is not complex and doesn't necessarily change too deeply the standard production, for example. But moving to digital services or subscription or so on is involving many services in a company. It's from IT services to set up the license server, to integrate with our ERP in production, You may have also many issues in billing, simple billing taxes, because if you switch to subscription, it's something totally new if you're product centric. And of course, the digital service is a strong management decision. So there's a long period of evangelization in the big company. So you start by proposing a pilot, demonstrator, but the switch, the shift to the real deployment is a strong concern. So personally, in our company, we work with different big companies for a long time. I would say it's most often it's in the range of 12 months or even more for starting some pilot and some demonstrator. And then the switching to real deployment is another long phase.
Okay, Jérôme. I mean, interesting that the challenges are probably not the tech, but it's more the people and maybe the integration to completely other things like billing and CRM.
And also
maybe Jérôme, because we want everybody to have a. We will try to extend by 10 minutes. I hope to the audience that that's okay. But I think I would really like to hear a little bit everybody with a short statement, because I mean, and maybe Wolfgang, you can maybe then do, let's say, the final statement. But before, I'm let's say very interested to hear from, I mean, more established players like Transatel. I mean, you see the variety of industries. You see car industry, which is moving fast. But the traditional industries, I mean, if we talk smart industry, if we talk, let's say, Maschinenbau in Germany and so on, I mean, where do you see actually, is there an ignition at some point in time? Because I sometimes hear, I mean, Industry 4.0 is solved, but it's actually not solved in terms of business models. So when will come this ignition, in your view?
So what I see is that any IoT or smart industry project that we see in the industry take a lot of time. So the people take 1 to 2 years to think about it before to initiate an RFQ. Then they do a RFQ in a kind of industrial way, so it takes time. They tend to negotiate price like crazy without knowing exactly what they want to negotiate. Then after 9 months, we got a contract and we start deployment. And then you think, okay, now after 2 years, maybe I will make money. And then no, because it takes ages to deploy. And just to make it worse, we are in COVID time. So
no ignition.
And basically in COVID, you multiply time by 3 or by 4 because people don't take decisions. And we clearly see that we had an acceleration in August, September last year. After the first lock-in, and then in October, November, everybody were at home, not making decisions. And I think for such kind of new innovative project, maybe the people need to be inside in the same office to be able to make some decisions and to take some bet on the future.
So it's what it really means decisions and management, you're saying.
So on the long term, I'm not so worried, but things take lots of time. It's your project, people have to know what they want to do, then they have to deploy, and it takes ages. So it's basically everything. Whenever people give me some kind of forecast, I multiply the time frame by 3, and I reduce the volume by 2, and then I got a decent business case, which make me a little bit careful. So I did reduce my level of investment, so that my investments are in line with the actual growth of the market, which takes time. The car manufacturer is another story, because connected car, I wouldn't say it's mature, but the needs of connectivity in cars has been in the mind of everyone for the last 10 years. So they start now to launch RFQ every 3 years, and they already have experience. So even if the level of service is low, the fact that the car is connected has been here for now a long time. So all the high-end cars are now connected for a couple of years now. So you basically have RFQ every 3 years. So you just have to take the right trends and try to be in the RFQ. Where they are still very immature or basic is on the level of service. The slide I show you was started to be very elaborated. A few people think about it. But actually, lots of time when I speak to people, they say, okay, you are right, I fully agree, but I have to explain my management that I don't understand anything and still think that we shouldn't be in telecom, when I think the car manufacturer should be in telecom at some point. I mean, the head of product marketing of BMW Connected Car told me 3 years ago, the next telco are the car manufacturer, but my issue is that I'm struggling to explain that to my management, where they tend to trust Dutch Telecom, which is a catastrophe, or Vodafone, which is even worse, because then you are totally like this with those guys.
So Peter, I mean, may I interrupt and ask this exact question? I mean, maybe to Peter, because he, I think, I mean, how many years did it take you to convince the Daimler-Benz to invest in this in your platform? But now they have taken the decision and they roll out it to all their sites, isn't it? So it has been taking a long time in B2B markets.
I'd say it didn't take time, it took an event. So we were at Daimler for several years in one or the other plant. And in 2016, when WannaCry struck, they noticed that 3 plants weren't affected. And those were those 3 plants that already had this patch applied for WannaCry. And then it was just a decision of a few weeks or a few months to roll it out worldwide because it worked. So sometimes it has to hurt for someone to take the money and to make a decision. Like we heard before, we often ask, how much do I earn more if I use your solution? Or how many bottles do I produce more? Or how many cars do I produce more? You don't produce less, and that's the thing. So you have a decision to make. Do I want to wait until it hurts, or do I want to save the money in advance, invest in something, and prevent from the event that something might fail?
So I would say, Peter, you have good use cases to share. Maybe as our role, we see this ECA to connect, for example, let's say tech companies, startups with corporates. You should definitely speak to Thierry Vallot, because he will have good arguments to put, let's say, digital services into his fabrication equipment. So. But what I hear a little bit out that it's very different from industries. Is it the closer an industry is, the faster this transition goes to subscription, to digital services? Maybe Martin again from Hager.
I mean, group, we have some businesses that are more peripheral, like what we call intrusion alarm systems, for instance. And here we just see that the competitors are no longer our historical competitors. They are more American-based companies like Google with Nest or Amazon with Ring, etc. And they are pushing very hard with subscription-based systems and business models. So at one point, you are no longer competitive if you cannot offer these models next to them. In our traditional business, for now, it's not the case. We see that our circuit breaker is not offered as a subscription today, but there is an extension of our core business, which is energy management, like charging stations for electrical cars, like Antoine Frac showed, or storage of energy in big batteries, etc. And those things, they are more closer to the end user who touches those things and uses them every day. And of course, they don't see the interest of spending thousands of euros for such a box or such a metal thing. Huh? So that's where a subscription becomes an attractive alternative. And there are already competitors that do this. So now I would say we are getting closer and closer to our core business due to these innovations. And yes, if we talk electrical mobility and I talk charging station, it's an extension of the electrical car. So the electrical car is offered as a leasing or as a subscription. So why should I pay the charger and only have a subscription on the car? So it doesn't make sense for the customer. So it will touch us sooner rather than later. That's my evaluation.
Well, Wolfgang, you heard, I mean, different perspectives. What I heard is, I mean, there are really very strong cases to actually deliver the technicality of and to enable services. I heard that it might be a little bit industry dependent. I heard as well that it's a question of management. But the key question for me is, and that might be a good let's say closing remark. I mean, does any industry has the possibility to kind of avoid this thinking, or do they need to embrace, and how much time do they have?
Yeah. Well, look, first of all, we heard a lot of very interesting spotlights here, and thanks to all of you. What did we actually hear? We heard that this is a real game changer, right? On the one hand, you need to ramp up new competencies and skills. And many of them, as we heard, are in the business and in the commercial domain. So there is the technical aspect, and we need to get that right, but there is this commercial excellence that you need to really invest into. We heard that Thierry summarized it very well when he said, look, where's the value for customers? And it's really right. We need to dollarize the value. We need to be able to show customers what the value really is. That's the one thing. The other thing we heard is many of you talked about soft factors. You talked about culture. You talked about product to customer centric. And actually, let's not forget that it's called digital service with a big S. Sometimes we seem to forget this. We are still in the business of serving customers, right? And don't forget what the minimalist definition of service is: making and keeping promises to customers. So my call to you is, yes, we have to talk about the digital technology aspects, but let's also think of the fact that we want to make and keep promises. And mentally, we need to understand that we need to be in the mindset of serving customers. And you know what? This is not going to go away. Actually, every industry, coming back, Ingo, to what you just said, every industry cannot escape from the fact that we need to become experts in service excellence with a big E, excellence in service, and not just doing it for the sake of doing it, or we have to do it. This is the way to go. Now, some industries faster than others, but I'm a big believer that every industry, there's no reason why every industry is touched by these trends.
Well, very, very good, I think, closing remark. We cannot escape. Yeah. It was actually one thought that we had when organizing this, when asking around, speak about smart industry. Many people wanted to speak about technology. But we said, well, let's speak about, let's say, what you call commercial excellence. And I think that was, mission accomplished in terms of what I heard today. I hope the audience shares that thought. And again, we try to bring, let's say, the fast-moving startups together with, I would say actually pretty fast-moving corporates. So it's not, I couldn't see many differences. So congratulations, and thank you. If you like the idea of thinking what are the key issues for European tech, have a look on European Champions Alliance. We live from people who share this thought that we need to actually accelerate. That we not always have to look to the US or Asia, but let's look to Europe. Let's build European champions, and from that we can do many things. So that's our mission, and would be great if the audience shares that and maybe becomes a member, contributor, or in future events is listening again. So I hope, despite the technical problems, we had a good session. At least I took away many things, and thank you very much for the speakers, everybody. Great stuff, and I hope that we can talk again in one of these events, and that some networking came out of it, so you actually develop business between each other. Thank you again to the entire audience, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
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 Thank you.